The Bray Wyatt theories continue to pour in, so we'll take a look at another theory for Bray facing another one of his old rivals. We'll also see what's going on with Mandy Rose, Triple H, and more. Let's start things off with another Bray Wyatt theory. Everyone is weighing in on the White Rabbit theory, and the name that has now taken the lead by far is Bray Wyatt. Everyone is convinced that Bray Wyatt is the individual behind the White Rabbit teaser, that if it turns out to be anyone else, there's gonna be a lot of disappointed fans out there. There's also been even more little discoveries found in recent days. In Bray Wyatt's first ever promo for FCW, which was like WWE's original version of NXT, Bray ended that promo by saying, "Come with me." Those same three words of "come with me" are plastered all over the White Rabbit teasers. Even the QR code before you scanned it said, "come with me." So, some more similarities there to Bray Wyatt. And the question that was inside the QR video was, who killed the world? With the answer being, you did. Fans have also dug up a 2015 interview Bray Wyatt had with Michael Cole, where he talked about this same topic. In that interview, Bray asked, why should he feel guilty for the things he does, and how he didn't make the world this way? You did. Just another bizarre callback from over 7 years ago, where Bray asked a very similar question and gave the same sort of answer of, you did. Ronda Rousey even talked about how it's a mystery amongst the superstars as well, but how she even believes that it's for Bray Wyatt. So everything that has been discovered over the last few days appears to be fully supporting the idea of Bray Wyatt being behind all the teasers after all. And if that wasn't enough, fans made another discovery on the official graphics for Extreme Rules. Look at the background of the official Extreme Rules match graphics, and you'll see fireflies and lanterns all over the side of the graphics. You may say that's a coincidence, but there's only one man that could be behind the usage of fireflies and lanterns. The fireflies and lanterns appear on most of the Extreme Rules graphics, but the graphic it appears the most clearly on is the graphic for Seth Rollins versus Riddle. And that's also interesting because it makes you wonder if this is where Bray Wyatt will strike at. It makes sense because Bray is a perfect reason to come after both Seth and Riddle, and here's why. Bray and Seth last met in the ring in late 2019. In that feud, that was extremely messy and featured one of the worst finishes ever seen for a Hell in a Cell match. Back in April, during a question and answer session on Instagram, Bray said that he loved working with Seth Rollins and hoped that they share the ring again one day to fix everything that happened last time they met. He was obviously referring to Hell in a Cell 2019 and that entire feud. So it was a match that the fans weren't happy with, and even Seth and Bray weren't happy with it either. So if Bray Wyatt's first target back is Seth Rollins, that would be great because there's no world title on the line, and they could just go out there and correct those mistakes from their 2019 feud. And the idea of Bray Wyatt going after Riddle makes sense as well, because it ties back into Bray's main theme of revenge. Brutally attacking Riddle can be a message that Bray Wyatt is sending to Randy Orton to catch his attention. Bray's last match and opponent before being released was Randy Orton. Orton even said that following night on Raw that The Fiend would never be seen again in WWE. And technically speaking, he was right. The Fiend was never seen again and was released months later. So what better way to kick off his return run than going after the man that was responsible for putting an end to The Fiend? Now, Randy is obviously still recovering from that surgery, so he may be out for a bit longer. But Bray's feuding with Riddle may buy them some time for Orton's return. Maybe Bray and Riddle go at it for a few months, and the payoff for that feud would be Orton returning for Bray Wyatt. Orton lit The Fiend on fire before. He defeated him at WrestleMania multiple times. So he has Bray's number in many different ways. So he would be a believable option to take down Bray Wyatt no matter what. So that is the two potential routes and familiar opponents for Bray Wyatt upon his return. But then again, maybe they do switch things up with him this time around. Revenge was a big theme for The Fiend, so it makes sense for The Fiend to revisit old opponents that wronged Bray in the past. But considering this may be a whole new act for Bray Wyatt, maybe revenge is no longer his main theme. That's something that we have to take into consideration as well. Maybe this new version of Bray doesn't hold grudges in the same way that the previous versions did. That's all questions that we'll have to ask. Maybe they bring him back with a fresh direction and fresh opponent instead of revisiting the past. Who knows? But hypothetically speaking, even if Bray's return date is Extreme Rules, there's still a couple of more weeks to go, which means even more White Rabbit teasers on Raw, SmackDown, and even live events until then. So we'll continue to closely monitor everything and see what else is revealed in the coming weeks. The Attitude Era was a risky time for WWE. It was arguably one of the best eras of WWE, but they were constantly trying to see how far they can get, stepping over the line on national television with their TV-14 rating. Triple H recently appeared on the Sport Bible Stories podcast and said that Vince McMahon was fearful back then that DX was going to upset USA Network so much that Raw would get taken off the air. Triple H had this to say about what went down back then, quote, "USA Network had been on us for weeks. These guys cannot say that stuff. They cannot do these gestures. They have to stop. We would go out and do it the next week, and Vince McMahon would tear us apart. You guys are going to get us thrown off the air." But he wasn't doing anything about it, right? We felt like there was a lot of threatening going on, but he wasn't doing anything, end quote. So Vince McMahon and even USA Network gave DX a lot of warnings. But since no one was taking any actions against them, they just kept their antics going and still got away with doing everything that they were doing. There's some news regarding Toxic Attraction. Gigi and JC appeared during the Women's Tag Team Titles tournament, and they even appeared on SmackDown after the tournament ended. But there's still some confusion regarding their status. Are they now called up, or do they still belong to NXT? Well, according to reports, those few SmackDown appearances were not the official call-ups for Gigi and JC. They're still a part of NXT, but reports are saying that the main roster call-up could split Toxic Attraction up for a while. Gigi and JC will eventually be called up to the main roster, but Mandy could stay in NXT for a while, especially if she remains as the women's champion. Once Mandy drops the title off, then maybe she could rejoin them on the main roster. It'll be interesting as well because we can even see Damage Control versus Toxic Attraction on the main roster. It's been a while since there's been multiple women factions, so that'll be a nice potential 3-on-3 matchup to see. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.